No runways, no control tower, but this was one of the most significant RAF bases in the world. It was where much of the work was done on the development of radar. RAF Bawdsey in Suffolk was where Sir Robert Watson-Watt and his team did much of their research. Bawdsey Manor was built in the late 1800s by Sir Cuthbert Quilter, a wealthy businessman who went on to become an MP. But he sold this entire site to the MOD in 1936. That's when the first research teams working on the development of radar arrived. And then it officially became RAF Bawdsey. A team of experts have now transformed part of the old base into a museum dedicated to explaining the history of radar and what led up to it. In the 30s, pressure was building on the government about how to deal with the Luftwaffe. All kinds of ideas for new weapons were being looked at.
The government put forward a suggestion to try and find an idea how they could generate a death ray to take down pilots of incoming enemy aircraft, and sheep were put forward as a test case. If someone could kill a sheep at 100 yards, you would win £1,000 at that time, clearly a lot of money. Nobody managed to do it, so no sheep were harmed in that experiment. So once that clearly failed, it was realised that there was no way you could get enough energy to actually generate a death ray of any meaningful way. So they looked at other alternatives, and Watson-Watt and his team came up with this idea of detecting aircraft by reflection of those radio signals, and that's the start of this story of radar.
Employing microsecond pulses from a radio transmitter, with a nearby radio receiver pick up a radio echo, reflected from an aircraft.
This formerly classified information film showed how the system worked.
The real birth of an effective radar system, and I was interested in nothing less than an integrated system, dates somewhere within February 1935.
Much of the key work was done here in this transmitter block.
This is where the power was distributed to the radar transmitters. We have the incoming power there and the two transmitters A and B. The pulse was sent from this site. This was then plotted, and that information was sent to headquarters, and they then alerted aircraft from other airfields and launched them. We were outnumbered, about 4 to 1 in the number of aircraft we had. So had we not had radar, the planes would have had to travel backwards and forwards searching for the enemy aircraft. We would have been searching for a needle in a haystack. This is one of the first sites that was built.
If that decision hadn't have been made...
Dare I do it? Bitte schön. Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
You think it's that crucial? You
Oh,
think
yes.
that the Germans would have won the war?
Yes. Definitely.
Nearby is a slightly less grand house with a secret to tell. It was built to look like a farmhouse, but beneath was a secret bunker used during the Cold War. Roger worked there during that period and is keen to show me where the Bloodhound missile systems that he worked on stood guard. So this, what we're standing on right now, was one of the launch pads?
It is, yes. The launcher was fastened down here and the missiles were then loaded onto it, ready to fire, and should the command be given by the launch control post, they would then fire the missile.
Were you always quite tense and on alert, ready for something that may or may not happen? It must have been a bit frustrating.
At times it was frustrating. You were called in at the middle of the night on exercises, pretending that somebody was going to attack, and you had to get everything running, everything had to be perfect, and you stayed on alert throughout the night.
And all of this, completely secret. What was it like not being able to talk about your day job?
Just didn't talk, didn't say a word. Oh yes, no, I worked there. Oh, what do you do? Sorry, can't say.
Back at Bawdsey Manor, social life for the Cold War troops like Roger was back here. It was the officers' mess.
The main dining room for formal nights. We had
But when it was home to Sir Robert Watson-Watt and his research team, There was one room in particular that was important.
Right, Sean, this is the leather room.
Roger is showing me Sir Watson Watt's old office.
And
Just being in this room, knowing what was developed here, it's incredible, isn't it, how important it was?
it was very, very important. Robert Watson Watt, who was the starter, shall we say, he had the ideas, but he was the team leader. There were lots of other people involved in the actual development of the radar.
With such a rich history, its present couldn't be more different. It's now used for residential holidays for kids.
The whole estate that we've got is 144 acres. We're operating in a small area of that, and we've built 20 different activities for the children to go on.
And while the children are here to be active, they are always encouraged to learn about the history of radar.
We tell them what radar is, because it's amazing how few children know what radar is, and luckily we've got the museum there that explains it very well, very clearly, and we want children to go and see that and understand why this building's so important. It means a lot to a lot of people, so we are the latest chapter in that. We want to be part of that.
From World War II to the Cold War, RAF Bawdsey played a significant role in Britain's military history. Parts of it may now be derelict, but the museum is a lasting legacy to the story of radar, how it saved thousands of lives, helping to win the war.